Welcome to One Day, One Book. Today we're diving into a fascinating book called Playing Pygmalion, How People Create One Another by Ruthellen Josselson. This is a psychology book that explores how human relationships are built and how we unconsciously shape each other. So, what exactly is the Pygmalion effect? The name comes from Greek mythology. Pygmalion was a king who wasn't interested in ordinary women. Instead, he fell in love with a statue he had meticulously crafted, a young woman of his ideal. Surprisingly, the goddess Venus was moved by Pygmalion's devotion and gave life to the statue. Pygmalion's dream finally came true, and he married the beautiful woman he had created. American psychologist Robert Rosenthal took this myth and applied it to human behavior, coining the term Pygmalion effect to describe self-fulfilling prophecies. He and Lenore Jacobson conducted a famous experiment in a school. They told teachers that they had identified 18 students with exceptionally high IQs. But in reality, those students were chosen at random. Surprisingly, over time, these students did perform better academically. Why? Because the teachers believed they were geniuses, treated them with extra care, and sent them the message that they were capable. Influenced by these expectations, the students rose to the challenge. The Pygmalion effect essentially means that what you expect often becomes reality. When you place strong expectations on someone, they tend to grow into them. That's why it's sometimes called the expectancy effect. This phenomenon also appears in literature and real-life relationships. Take War and Peace, for example. Prince Andrei falls for Natasha, a lively and passionate woman, but in truth, he's in love with his own ideal of her. He has pieced together an image of the perfect woman based on the qualities he perceives in Natasha. Eventually, reality doesn't match his fantasy, and he abandons her, leaving Natasha confused because she's just being herself. This is the Pygmalion effect in action. We unconsciously create each other, shaping and interpreting one another according to our expectations. Relationships are a process of mutual creation. The author, Ruthellen Josselson, is a female psychologist and a student of renowned psychiatrist Ruthellen Josselson. Josselson is famous for his expertise in group psychotherapy, where small groups of people work through their shared psychological struggles with one or two therapists. Through this process, participants can gain insights into their own behaviors and improve their interactions with others. Josselson herself is an expert in group therapy and currently serves as the executive director of the Ruthellen Josselson Institute for Psychotherapy. She is also taught at Harvard University. Like Josselson, she believes that most mental struggles stem from difficult interpersonal relationships. Beyond this book, Josselson has authored many works exploring human relationships. Over more than 40 years of psychotherapy experience, she has conducted in-depth interviews to trace the emotional and psychological journeys of her clients. Unlike other therapists, she asks people to draw a relationship map, charting the important people in their lives every 5 years from age 5 to the present. This map acts like a relational autobiography, showing how relationships shape a person's life. Playing Pygmalion is about 200,000 words long and divided into 7 chapters. Chapters 1 and 7 focus on theory, analyzing why we create one another. Chapter 2 explains her research methods, drawing on stories from her psychotherapy practice. Chapters 3 through 6 present 4 relational autobiographies, a pair of twin sisters, a mother and daughter, a father and daughter, and a couple going through a divorce. The example we'll focus on here comes from the story of the divorcing couple. In this story, Tom sees his marriage as ideal. He considers himself a caring husband who organizes everything for his wife. But unexpectedly, his wife cheats and insists on divorcing him. Why does this happen? By the end of this discussion, you'll see that this book combines solid theory with compelling narratives. As a female psychologist, Josselson analyzes people's emotions with precision, demonstrating deep insight into human nature. Reading it feels like following a novel, journeying through several people's emotional lives, guided by the sharp eye of a seasoned psychologist. Whether you're a researcher, a therapist, or simply curious about human relationships, this book offers valuable perspectives. Now let's break the book down into 4 key ideas. People create illusions. Fantasies exist in relationships. People shape others based on their own needs, creating each other mutually. How relationships are formed. The problems that arise from these creations. Misunderstandings in relationships. 1. How do we create fantasies? To understand this, we need to think about how infants perceive the world. Newborns have no concept of anything outside themselves. They can't even distinguish themselves from the environment. Whenever they are hungry, scared, or bored, caregivers usually respond. Infants quickly learn what provides comfort. Initially, it's often the mother's breast, but when that's unavailable, like during weaning, a teddy bear or a soft blanket can become a source of comfort. 20th century psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott called this a transitional phenomenon. Infants use these objects to bridge the inner and outer world, finding solace in what is, in reality, just a toy. This fantasy ability doesn't disappear in adulthood. It unconsciously shapes how we perceive and interpret others. For example, imagine 2 colleagues in an elevator. They exchange a simple "good morning," but each person reads subtle cues in the other's tone or expression, analyzing intentions and emotions. These interpretations are often influenced by past experiences, current needs, and expectations for the future, a filter through which we construct the other person's image. Everyone's filter is unique, so the same person might be seen very differently by different people. A direct person may seem reckless to one observer, but refreshingly honest to another. Once a fantasy forms, it's reinforced by our interpretations of subsequent behavior, making it hard to change. A classic example comes from the comedy Some Like It Hot. Osgood falls in love with Daphne, unaware she's actually a man in disguise. Even when the truth is revealed, Osgood remains charmingly unfazed, insisting, "Nobody's perfect." This shows how people can cling to fantasies, even when reality challenges them. 2. How do we unconsciously shape others' behavior? This is explained through the psychoanalytic concept of projective identification, introduced by Melanie Klein. Essentially, we unconsciously induce others to behave in certain ways, projecting onto them what we want or need. There are several forms. Projection of negative traits. We guide others to act out traits we reject in ourselves, then punish them for it. For instance, a sibling might encourage a sister to ask for something from their parents that they themselves feel guilty about wanting. Projection of desired traits. We place the qualities we wish we had onto others, preserving them vicariously. A shy person may gravitate toward a bold, outgoing friend to live out that personality. Summoning similar traits, we evoke traits in others that mirror our own, creating closeness or familiarity. Delegating unwanted emotions, we subtly arrange for someone else to experience the stress or worry we wish to avoid. These projections shape others' behavior because humans have latent potential for many traits. When someone meets the right trigger, they may act in ways that fulfill our expectations. This shows that we both create others and are being created in return. 3. How are relationships formed? Take Tom and Casey. Tom meets Casey, a freshman, and sees her as his ideal partner, trustworthy, simple, reliable. Casey, in turn, feels safe and cared for with Tom. They respond selectively to each other, reinforcing each other's roles and creating a shared relational reality. As the relationship deepens, both adapt, emphasizing traits that fit the other's expectations and suppressing those that don't. Over time, fantasies and projections become intertwined with real needs. 4. Misunderstandings and the need to update the script. Eventually, Casey realizes that Tom is not the passionate partner she needs. Tom's role as protector collapses when he fails to act as she expected during a medical emergency. The relationship falters because Tom assumed he could sculpt her reality forever, ignoring her growth and evolving needs. The lesson? To maintain a living, dynamic relationship, We must truly understand the other person, listen to their inner world, and be willing to adjust the relational script. Without this, relationships stagnate, and projections or fantasies create misunderstandings. In summary, Playing Pygmalion shows how we unconsciously construct fantasies and project our needs onto others. Relationships are co-created stages where we and the people around us play roles shaped by expectations. The Pygmalion effect reminds us what you expect of others often shapes who they become. To keep relationships vibrant, listen deeply, question assumptions, and adjust roles as both partners evolve. This book offers both theoretical insight and compelling stories, perfect for anyone curious about psychology or human connections. That's it for today's episode. Congratulations, you've just finished another book. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.